Hi everyone, my name is Danish and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to teach you about object-oriented programming. So what is OOP? OOP is a programming paradigm that organizes software design around objects rather than functions and logic. An OOP, an object particularly, represents a real-world entity that has properties or the attributes and the behaviors or the methods of the functions. So OOP is a programming paradigm that organizes software design rather than objects and rather than functions and logic. So this is where I can be able to solve my real world situation problems into a code. So I can be able to solve my real world situations into a code, and that is the meaning of OOP. Then another key point that you need to note is that in traditional procedural programming, programs are written as a sequence of instructions that operates on data. So that one is the meaning of a computer software. You can be able to understand what is the meaning of a computer software. So programs are written as a sequence of instructions that operate on data. But however, object-oriented programming, data and the functions that operate on that data are combined into a single unit that is called an object. A single unit that is called an object. And in C++, C++ is one of the most widely used programming languages that supports OOP, whereby it allows programmers to create programs that are modular, reusable, and easier to maintain. Examples in the real world situations whereby in everyday life we interact with many objects, and these objects can be a car, an object can be a student, an object can be a bank account, an object can be a circle. So all these ones can be examples of an object. So these are objects that we interact with in everyday situations life. So we can be able to interact with all these objects. So these objects, they have something that is known as attributes and their properties. So attributes and properties, attributes or the properties are the data members of a certain object. Like in C++, we have something known as the data members. So data members are, these data members, they are the characteristics or the attributes of a certain class. But we have something known as methods. Methods in OOP are the functions or the actions, or you can call them the behaviors of a certain object. For example, if you have an object car, then the behavior of this car is as follows. A car can be able to run, to accelerate. A car can be able to stop. So these ones are the behaviors of that particular object. And the behavior of objects in C++, we categorize them as the member functions of that object. So in C++, we create classes with members as the characteristics of a certain object. So let's take, for example, we have a class student, and this student, it has some of the characteristics or the attributes. The attributes are these things that they really defines a student. For example, a student in a school has a name, a student has an age, admission number, or a student has a course that he's going to study. So these ones are the characteristics, what really defines a student in a certain school. So those characteristics in OOP, we classify them, or they are known as the data members of a class. Then what about methods of a class? Methods are the functions, the behaviors of a certain object. How does an object behave? For example, if we consider a student as an object, then the behavior of this student is that a student in a school can be able to study, a student can be able to attend class, and a student can also be able to take exams. So those ones are the behaviors of a student in a certain school. Then the other thing we should be able to know is that in C++, we represent these objects, these things using classes and objects. So we represent them using classes and objects. And today, I want to show you how you can be able to create a class with an object. So can you be able to create a class? So just be patient. I will take you through this course on how you can be able to create a class and an object. So just be patient because I'm the one holding camera and I'm the one that is going to type as well. So please don't get bored because of my slow typing. Don't get bored. Just focus and consider this particular context can be very, very helpful. For example, if you are a student in a certain school, or you are just a person who want to know or who want to learn programming. So feel much welcome, and I will be able to take you through this course. I will show you how to create a class. So what is a class? A class is a blueprint or a template used to create object. Then this class, it defines the variables or the attributes and also defines the functions or the methods. So for you to create a class in C++ programming, the first thing to start with, after creating the header files, then the first thing to start with, you are going to write what? Sorry, I'm using caps lock, but let me remove that. I'm going to write a keyword known as class. So this keyword class must be able to start, and I'm going to write that one. This one is a keyword that is a reserved word that is only going to be used by the compilers. Remember, keywords in programming cannot be used as the variable names. Those ones are reserved words that can only be used by the compilers. You cannot use a keyword as the name of the variable. So after writing the class keyword, it is going to be followed by the name of the class. So what is the name of your class? Nobody will penalize you for the name of the class, but remember, the name of the class must not be a keyword, must not be a reserved word. So for example, I'm going to create a class student, and this student, this is the name of my class. After that, you are going to open this curly brace here. So after opening this curly brace, this is where I'm going to start defining the data members as well as the methods of this class. So for example, if I have a class student, what are the data members or the characteristics of a certain student in a school? But before I go to that one, I want to teach you something known as access modifiers. So what are access modifiers in object-oriented programming? There is something known as access modifiers. So we have three types of access modifiers. And these three types of access modifiers, number one, we have the public access modifiers. Number two, we have the private access modifiers. And number three, we have the protected access modifier. So access modifiers are keywords used to control the visibility and accessibility of class members, in bracket the variables and the functions. So the class members, variables, and the functions can be able to be controlled. For example, I can be able to code my code, then I don't want several samples of the code to take or to copy the members of a certain class. So I will be able to control them using the access modifiers. And these access modifiers, there are three. We have the private, the protected, and the public access modifiers. So they determine which parts of a program can access the data and methods of a class. For example, if you are my friend, then you can be able to access some very important properties or some private properties. some of my private properties, you can be able to access them since you are my friend. But if you are not my friend, you cannot be able, I cannot allow you to access some of my private properties. So that is what the access modifiers are going to control in C++. So access modifiers, there are three. I've talked about public, private, and protected. They control the visibility and accessibility of the members of a class, that are variables and the functions. So they determine which part of a program can access the data and methods of a class. So members, the important thing also you should know is that members of a class are private by default. So if I write something like this, if I write something like private, then which means the members of a class are private, which means they cannot be accessed outside that particular class. For example, this is where the class begins and this is where the class is going to end. So the members of the class cannot be accessed outside the class if they are private, but if they are public, they can be able to be accessed. So let me start by teaching you about public access modifier. So when I write something like this, which means the members of a class can be accessed outside this class because they are public. Something that is public is something that is available to everyone. So the members of the class will be available to everyone, hence they can be accessed outside this particular class because they are public. So the behaviors of this class student, number one, I want to say that a student has a name and the data type of this name is a string of characters. Then the variable name is just name. Then at the end you put a semicolon. Number two, a student has an age. Remember, I'm going to use the int type to indicate that the student has an age, but this age is data type integers. They are not the floating point data types. Then a student can also take a course, and let me use a string of characters to represent the course of the student. So to represent the course of the student, we are using a string of characters. So these are the three members of the class, that is the string name, int age, and the string course. So those are the three members of the class. Then the next thing I want to do, I want to define the behavior of this student. So how do this student behave? Maybe the student has a name, the student has an age, and the student has a course. So I'm going to create a method of a class, and that one is known as a function. A function is the method of a class, and that function is known as the behavior of a class. So what you must know with the function is that, number one, a function is declared inside the class and operates on the data members of a class. A function is declared inside the class. I cannot declare a function outside this class here, but they operate inside the class. There is a situation whereby you can declare functions outside the class, but for now, for today, I want to teach you how you can declare functions inside the class. If you declare a function outside that class, then it's going to be a global function. But functions that are inside the main functions or the class are known as functions that are outside the class are known as global function. But that one that is in the class is known as a local function. So functions are declared inside a class. And number two, remember functions follow a certain access rules depending on the access modifier used. For example, public, private, or protected. Like if you see this one here, this one is a public. I have declared that all the members of this class are going to be public. Even the method itself, it is going to be public. It is going to be public. Now, how do you declare a function? So you are going to start with void, and the name of the function is going to follow after the void keyword. The name of the function is going to follow. So let me say void, the name of my function is display. So this display here followed by this parenthesis here, this display here is the name of my function, and this display will be able to display the information of this student here. So the void display will be able to display the information of these students here. So that is the name of my function. Then I will use this one here, cout. This one is represent a display. Cout, I will say your name is, I provide enough space for display the name. So your name is, let me just provide a space. Then your name is whatever I'm going to type as a name. I'm going to type something as a name, then that is your name. Then let me copy this part of the code and paste it so that I can be able to modify it. So let me paste it at this particular point, and again paste it at this particular point. So let me change this one here. This your name now becomes your age. Your age is your age, and your course is, and your course is your course, and your course is whatever the course I'm going to have at that particular point. So that is how I'm going to do what? I'm going to create a method of a class. So this is how you are going to create a class and a method of that class. Then the next thing, this one is just done like this because I have created a class with some of the characteristics here. So the attributes or the characteristics of the class are these ones here: the string name, the int age, and the course of the student. Those are the characteristics of the student. Then this one is the method, how the student behaves. So I'm going to display the information of this student, which is the name, the age, and the name, the age, and the course whereby the student is going to study. So what follows after this one, we are going to see how you can be able to create something known as an object member of a class. How you can create an object member of a class. So we are going directly to the main function to see how you can create an object member of a class. Now an object is automatically created in the main function, and the first thing to start is the int main followed by these parentheses here. So the int main will followed by those parentheses will start. Then an object is going to be created, which is an instance of a class. Number one, you must have the name of the class here. The name of the class here must start, because if you want to create an object, you must create an object member of the class. So let me say that I'm going to create a student, and this is the first student. So let me say I want to create a student, and this is the first student. So student 1, that is the first student. So this one here is the object member of that class. So if I want to assign a name for the student, then I'm going to assign a name for an object. Remember, this is the object and this is the attributes of that particular object. So if I want to assign the name of the student, then I will say student 1. So I'm going to copy this one like student 1 and paste it here. Student 1 dot, and as you can see, there is some information here that they want me to call a variable, but I just don't want to use that one. Let me just show you. Student 1 dot name, student 1 dot name, then I will say is equals to, for example, my name is Dennis. Remember, if your name is a string of characters, then you are going to put it into a double quote. So my name is Dennis. Let me start with capital D. So my name is Dennis. Then at the end of that particular program, you're going to put a semicolon. So let me copy this part of code and paste it. Let me copy this part of code for EC. Then I modify it. Then I show you how you can be able to create that class. So after that, I'm going to say student1 dot name is equals to Dennis.